Greetings, friends and Firebirds fans, and welcome to the December edition of the Fire and Ice podcast, the official podcast of your Coachella Valley Firebirds, coming to you from home desert, California, right here in the heart of the Coachella Valley. I'm your host, Judd Spicer, and along with serving as host of this monthly endeavor, also have the privilege and pleasure of being your Firebirds insider for this inaugural season, writing a couple articles a month on team, roster, staff members. You can find those at cvfirebirds.com. Joining me in this December edition of the Fire and Ice podcast, guy that's got to be smiling right now, Troy Bodie, Director of Hockey Operations for your CV Firebirds. Why is he smiling? Well, I had the pleasure of interviewing Troy a few previous times for varying outlets, and he's a modest guy, but he, like all of us, have to be pleased, if not slightly surprised, by the amazing start for the Firebirds in this inaugural season. More on that momentarily as we segue to this month's Firebirds freeze frame. And I'd be bearing the lead, friends, if I didn't get right to the fact that Acrisure Arena, actually just about a half mile from where this podcast is being recorded, Acrisure Arena now just days away from its desert debut. Of course, that's going to happen on Wednesday, December 14th, with an awesome show. I certainly hope to be able to get to. Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock unveiling Acrisure Arena on the 14th. It's going to be followed by the Doobie Brothers on the 15th. Grupo Ferme on Friday, December 16th. And then the much anticipated, long anticipated debut, the home debut of our CV Firebirds, Sunday, December 18th, 6 p.m. versus the Tucson Roadrunners. Tickets for all of this now on sale, including single game tickets for the Firebirds at cvfirebirds.com. As far as those concerts go, I invite you to visit acrissurearena.com. Personally, even though I'm a technical idiot, I've also downloaded the Coachella Valley Firebirds application. Kids call it the app. Very helpful tool. Going to be especially helpful as mobile tickets only at Acrisure Arena. It is also a cashless facility. You need know all manner of information to be found at cvfirebirds.com, and also the app, ranging from ticketing, parking information. I've been asked about that a lot, along with team roster, team scheduling, the Coachella Valley Firebirds team store, and a lot of know before you go information for those, but I guess all of us making our own introduction to Acrisure Arena as the concerts and the Firebirds are soon to debut this month. That offered, friends, let's get to that Firebirds freeze frame. Why is Troy Bodie smiling? I'll ask him about this shortly, but has to be extremely pleased with the Firebirds' 11-4-2 start through their first 17 games. This, of course, coming as I speak to you on the week of December 4th. And by the way, I go with the Gregorian calendar. I always start the week on the Sunday. Some people like to say the week starts on the Monday. I always go with the Sunday. Anyway, all that said, an amazing 11-4-2 start through 17 games. And yeah, it's fifth in the 10-team Pacific Division, but a lot of that is by virtue of the fact that the Firebirds have played fewer games at this stage, as of this speaking, than any other AHL team. So it goes as they await that home debut, with a lot of travel, obviously, haven't been going on. When you look at that from a win percentage standpoint, the .706, amazing. Fourth best in the American Hockey League. Team continues to score a lot of goals, averaging about 3.5 per game. Got a little more road time, 5 games to be told, before that Sunday, December 18th debut against Tucson. Got a little downtime here in the desert proper before the Firebirds fly again with Friday, December 9th at San Jose, rather. Going to go from there, staying in California, the 10th at Bakersfield. Got back-to-back December 13th and 14th, respectively, at Tucson, and then Friday, December 16th at San Diego. That will precede the home debut on Sunday, December 18th. And again, those single game tickets now available at cvfirebirds.com or via the Firebirds application. And still some available for that home debut. What an exciting moment, a palpable moment for our desert. Total game changer. Tickets as low as $19, by the way, still available for those concerned about any kind of pricing. And if by chance you can't make that Sunday, December 18th arena and team hockey debut, fear not, a couple of other home games occur in that week. Also got Tuesday, December 20th, also against the Tucson Roadrunners. And then later that same week, Friday, December 23rd, hosting Henderson. As far as some of the fellas accounting for all the success and all the goals, it's going to start with Andrew Podoralski. He leads the team with 22 points. That's 5 goals coupled with a team high 17 assists. No success for point scoring in the AHL for Andrew. He has won the past 2 AHL scoring titles. Not far behind him with the team high 9 goals, Jesper Froden has 16 points, as does team captain Max McCormick. Cole Lind, you might remember that he was an author of a recent hat trick last month. He has 15 points, and John Hayden comes in next with 13 points. Firebirds, by the way, also briefly enjoyed the services of Shane Wright, still just 18 years old, doesn't turn 19 till right after the new year, on a conditioning loan from the Seattle Kraken. In just 5 games, Shane added 4 goals, reminding us why he was the 4th pick in this past summer's draft. He has since subsequently gone back to the Big Daddy Club up in Seattle. All that offered, all that prefaced, friends. Let's get to this month's visit with Troy Bodie, Director of Hockey Operations for your Coachella Valley Firebirds. All right, friends. As prefaced, my guest on this December episode of the Fire and Ice podcast, the official podcast of the Coachella Valley Firebirds. He is a Manitoba native, spent 9 years in professional hockey. That includes 159 NHL games for a trio of teams, also coupled with 381 games in the AHL. So he knows of what he speaks when talking AHL hockey. After hanging up his blades, he went on to one of those 3 teams he played for, the Toronto Maple Leafs, eventually became their director of scouting for the Maple Leafs. Back in the spring, was named the director of hockey and business operations for our Coachella Valley Firebirds, he tried to say. We welcome Troy Bodie to the Fire and Ice podcast. Troy, greetings and happy holidays, my man.
Happy holidays to you as well. Thanks for having me, Judd.
You and I are looking at one another via Zoom as we are recording this chat. As I also prefaced at the onset of this episode, that you'd likely have a smile on your face, and I think deservedly so, as a key part of the mind meld between and behind putting this squad together. 11-4-2 through 17 games, Troy. Did you ever imagine that would be possible?
I mean, that's what we strive for. I mean, we're going for to come out hot out of the gates. I think you always have a goal in mind to be competitive and successful. I'm not the type of guy to actually put, numbers to our record and say, this is what we're going to be. But, you do everything you can. And, that's what keeps you up at night is how can you get better? How can you get this organization off to the best start it could be? And you are correct when, often going to bed, waking up with a smile on my face and pinch myself that this is for real. We're doing it. We're having a blast doing it. And I know everyone working on the project as hard as they are working and take a little time to smile as well. So
is the team that you assembled from the outset, the pieces that you put together, is this how you thought that they would perform from a playing style vantage, and also, should be noted, a goal scoring advantage, scoring a lot of goals.
Scoring a lot of goals. Yeah. I mean, um, I thought there was I figured we would score some goals. I figured we would be, one of the better teams solely because being the affiliate club of the Seattle Kraken, who are still building their prospect pool. We would have to be a bit of an older veteran team, and that's kind of what we've got. Our ownership's been great in allowing us to actually go out and get some of the top veterans in the league and some really key players, and I think that's so important to get an organization off the ground. So I figured we would be one of the better teams, at least starting the season, and that's kind of where we're at so far. So I think it's pretty impressive at having only played really, mostly home games or mostly road games, and a couple home games in Seattle, but not actually having to play a single game in our home market, which is obviously the desert here. So I thought we'd be good, and we've gotten off to a better start than I guess you conceivably hope for, and let's hope we keep it going here.
Yeah, again, that 11-4-2 start, winning percentage over 700, fifth in the Pacific as of this conversation. But again, that's by virtue of playing fewer games than I think anybody else in the NHL, AHL, pardon me, because of all the traveling. But that win percentage is good for fourth in the league right now. Just all super impressive. I know some of these guys had opportunity to play in Charlotte together last year, but by and large, this is a bunch of players that have really never had ice time before this team came together.
Correct. Yeah, we had some guys that came over from the Charlotte team, so they're familiar with each other. But for the most part, we've kind of assembled them just piecemeal, in a lot of sports, and hockey's no different. They speak the common language on the ice, and once they get out there, they make fast friends. So the one thing about starting on the road is they get to spend a lot of time with each other and get to know each other and become good friends. And we're seeing a really tight knit group right away, and it's fun to watch.
Having spoken with a couple of said players, a few of the veterans, for articles for the Firebirds Insider articles that I referenced at the beginning of this episode. Andrew Podorowski and John Hayden among them, both veterans of professional hockey. John, of course, played a lot in the NHL. Andrew has played a lot in the AHL. And speaking with both of those guys, just get an immediate sense of the veteran presence. How do you think that's meshing with some of the younger players? What are you seeing as this team congeals?
Yeah, the veterans are super important to a group, not only to be the older players that can lead the way on the ice, and the been there done that type that go out and can take the game by the horns there, but they do they play an excellent role in actually helping shape and develop some of these young players. So as much as you can look at a guy like Andrew Podorowski, who's led the league in scoring, he's won 2 championships in this league. John Hayden, who's played numerous NHL games, and very lucky to have both of them. The big thing we look for when we get these veteran players is to really have good, solid citizens, excellent character people who are going to lead on the ice, but most importantly in the locker room, leading those young players that are trying to find their way in pro hockey, really trying to find their way in life, as some have come from junior hockey and living with billet families and relying on their parents for a lot of things, and now they're adults in their way, and those veteran guys really help lead the way, and we're lucky to have a good veteran group to do that.
Speaking with both of those gents again, both in their late 20s, I asked them a very similar question, and they gave me very similar answers. Impressive both, to say that, look, everyone in the AHL, everyone on the Coachella Valley Firebirds, the ultimate goal is to play in the NHL. But they also said, almost to a man, both of them, that if you hang your head for a game, for a day, for a minute, someone's going to pass you by at this level of professional sport. Someone is going to take your spot. You can't look at it like uh, a sulking opportunity or like I should be somewhere else. Both of them said almost the exact same thing. And I got to think that that trickles down to the younger players, that kind of work ethic and that kind of mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. We know when we there's no hiding it that all these players want to be National Hockey League players, and it's very much our job as much as we look at it very, you know, um, very closely of going out and winning hockey games. It's also our job to develop these players into National Hockey League players, whether that be the young, rookies or the 10-year veterans. We do everything we can to help them advance their careers and get back up there. It's as much as we do that, we expect them, to come into the rink every single day with the attitude of you're going to work your hardest. You're going to go in the gym and lift weights and train and show up for every drill, every pass in practice to be your best and lead the way, for, the young players and whatnot. And it's, that's what we expect of them. And that's, what we're seeing so far as well.
Also, both gents and really everyone I've spoken to, yourself included in the organization, about the work being done by head coach Dan Bilesman. What do you think in particular that he has done thus far that is really working on the team having such early success?
Yeah, Dan's a veteran guy. He's been there, done that. The great thing about him is he's, you're winding the clock back to 2006 or so, and he was in the exact same position as some of these young rookies where he is in the coaching world, whereas he was cutting his teeth as an assistant coach in this league, and then see his progression to a head coach in this league, and then head coach in the National Hockey League, and then before you know it, he's the Stanley Cup champion. So I think what's so important to him is not only bringing his experience in hockey, but really experiencing the journey of what these players are trying to go through, of how to make that next step, not just once, twice, three times, but he brings a championship pedigree of this is how you win games, this is how you win championships. And, Dan's the type of guy, he expects a lot out of the players, he expects a lot out of the staff. We're lucky to have that kind of pedigree in our locker room. So I think it really rubs off, and it's good to have someone that these players can really talk to and kind of learn from in that sense.
Provided, again, your own vast experience in the AHL, 381 games. I think that's spread across 8 different teams. I mean, you have a great empathy. You have a great sense of what these guys go through on a day-to-day basis and their continual battle to eventually be a full-time NHL player. Given your familiarity rather with the league and that strive and that struggle to get to the NHL, what do you see? I mean, you know as well as anybody what's working and what's not working. What do you see from your vantage, from your memories as a player? What's really working for this team?
I think they do a great job. I think the team has a lot of energy, and I think a lot of hockey these days is players come up with an enormous amount of skill, and these skilled players come in and think they can all do it themselves. And the thing I'm most proud of our team so far is they're a tight knit group, and they play well as a team. They support each other, on the ice, off the ice, in the gym. They're all friends, and I think that's something that is overlooked sometimes. Just how well or what it takes, kind of behind the scenes to be a successful team. And I like that out of our group so far. Is they're all good people. They all seem to generally care about each other and care about each other's successes and help each other through failures, stuff like that. You see it on the ice, and that's hard. That's something that's not easy to just cultivate artificially. It's has to happen organically with these guys, and you see it, and it's something I've been proud of so far.
I think that as we get nearer to the debut of Acrisure Arena, we'll see even more of that. Of course, the team and the staff, much of whom yourself included, had been spending so much time in Seattle or on the road. Now, fellas and staff members getting settled in the desert. From chatting with these guys, I think that they're really liking it out here in the Coachella Valley. What are you sensing for having had these guys had opportunities to get out a little bit, play some golf, go to some restaurants, take some hikes? What do you think they're enjoying about the area, Troy?
Oh gosh, all of the above. I think they are absolutely loving everything that the desert has to offer. They've gone out and played golf. They've done the restaurants. We ask them about the places they live in, and they light up. Going, oh, I live on a golf course, or I have a pool in my place, or the amenities here and whatnot. Or I'm so close to this. I know one of the players, got engaged to his now fiance, on a hike, and it's there. What warmed me about that story was, just the fact that they felt like this was the place to do it. So you can tell like this is just bringing the best out of everybody, and I think they're taking full advantage of everything. I'd be remiss to say that we've gotten the players out in the community as well, doing community events, and the Fine Food Bank, and gosh, what else?
Street hockey. I've seen. I mean, I know that has been a big part of what you've done to introduce a lot of local youth with Shannon Miller and such, and the rest of your staff. I've also seen a lot of that getting out in the community.
Yeah, absolutely, and helping buy gifts for underprivileged families, in which we had a sign up sheet for, and we almost had to make another sign up sheet with all the interest that was there. But so it's really, as much as the desert's giving us a lot, I know the players are eager to give back as well. So yeah.
Can you name the player that got engaged on the one of the trails here in the desert? Feel free if you don't want to, that's okay.
You know what? I'd love to, but that may be something I'd have to leave up to him to reveal. So
that's all right. It's a romantic place where we live.
Absolutely, it definitely is. So it was great that brought that out of him, and I'm sure his fiance now is equally as impressed. So yeah,
friends, you're tuning into the December edition of the Fire and Ice podcast, the official podcast of your Coachella Valley Firebirds. I'm your host, Judd Spicer. Troy Bodie, Director of Hockey and Business Operations for the Firebirds, is my guest for all things Firebirds, tickets, stats, roster, broadcast partners, and the community endeavors that Troy and I have been discussing. You can find that online at cvfirebirds.com. Also recommend downloading the Firebirds app on your phone, which I found very useful. Troy, TikTok, I think we're about 8 days away as you and I are speaking to the unveiling of Acrisure Arena. It's going to take place Wednesday, December 14th with a great show. Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. 4 days after that will be the Firebirds debut, Sunday, December 18th, 6 p.m., hosting the Tucson Roadrunners. Where are you at? How are you feeling about the unveil of Acrisure Arena?
Oh man, it's you walk into it, and I've said this before. Seeing some of these arenas go up before you're surprised that the games are coming up, and the question is always, there's no way there's going to be a show here, and they do such an excellent job of putting everything together. just in the last few days and cleaning everything up. And you see, the scoreboard going in, and, it's, and the stage and all that stuff. And it's just, I'm really pleased with where the arena's at, and, the construction group and all that. They do a great job. So it's definitely still a construction site, and it will be until the morning hours of December the 14th. But I promise you, by the time that show gets started and by the time you start driving in, there will be it'll be show ready. So
Well, I know
I
that much of
come
the
out.
bigger pieces are completed. What are a couple of the smaller things, maybe little things that they still got to finish up in this last week and change?
Well, I think they're just now putting in the ice for the
Okay.
uh, for the for the for the Arena Bowl, which um, is kind of one of the final steps when it comes to hockey, is getting that ice in, having the players kind of skate on it, break it in type thing. So that's one thing for sure. Um, a lot of the art is getting on the walls, stuff like that. Carpets, all that. But it's certainly taking shape, and there's times you walk in and you go, wow, there's a lot to do here, and then you walk in the next day and a lot of that stuff is done, and you just go, how did they all do it? But it's just going to be such a great atmosphere, and I encourage everyone to just come check it out for a show, check it out for a hockey game, and just um, really see how great the arena is, and what a great atmosphere it's going to be for both hockey and music.
Yeah, my friends at the Desert Sun newspaper, Shad Power specifically, just put out a great article about the food offerings that are going to be available. Read some articles just in the last week from other media colleagues giving some of the details and the facts sheets for Acrisure Arena. What's a question or two that you're at this point asked most often for people that are eager to check it out for the first time? As an example, I've been asked amply about parking. I don't know if there's questions along those lines that you're getting on a daily basis just from friends or colleagues interested in going. Is there anything that jumps to the top of the list, Troy?
Well, I get a lot of questions regarding hockey and just our, I take for granted sometimes that everyone knows kind of our relationship when it comes to the National Hockey League. And, um, there's, people ask if we're a professional team or whether we're, a junior team, and wonder what our affiliation was with the Seattle Kraken. And obviously we're the affiliate team for the Seattle Kraken, and they provide us players and whatnot. But those are a lot of the big questions I get is now is that we are a professional team and the second best team or league out of the National Hockey League, and it's really an exciting brand of hockey that everyone's going to see when they come here. So
I have watched some of the Firebirds games on AHL TV, and I know that your local broadcast partner, a guy Blake Arthur with KESQ, they'll have, I believe, 10 games from Acrisure Arena on this year. But in watching the games to date on AHL TV, and this is no slight toward any other teams or markets, Troy, but let's be honest, man, sometimes these guys are playing in front of a couple thousand people. Playing in front of 10,000 people at Acrisure Arena is going to be a little different animal, I think, than what we see at most of the AHL homes. Do you agree with that assessment?
I would absolutely agree with that assessment. There's you can go around the league, and there's some desirable places and undesirable markets around here, but this is definitely going to be the king of the crop in my opinion. Just geographically, with a world-class arena, if we'll hopefully get everyone a peek into our locker room at some point, into the gym that is it's NHL quality, and it's something our owners have been so gracious to give us the funding to not only build what we need, but to actually get just the best quality equipment and whatnot. And and that goes the same for the fan experience as well when it comes to all the bars and food offerings and the sight lines and game entertainment and whatnot. It's not just going to be a hockey game or a concert. It's going to be a full blown experience that everyone's going to want to be a part of.
And again, harkening back to your own AHL games and career and experience, I know that some of the towns that you played in were not hockey hotbeds. I'm sure some of those games of the 381 you played in the AHL, those were games played in front of the aforementioned 1,000 or 2,000 fans. I mean, from a player's perspective, playing in front of a half empty or a quarter empty arena, I know, or I can only imagine that takes a little of the wind out of the sails. Inversely, when you play in front of a packed, rabid fan base, that can do so much for your team. Would you agree with that?
I would certainly agree. The fans are a big part of a team's success, and having a great home crowd like we expect here at Acrisure is definitely going to have an impact on the win-loss record. And having that arena sold out and having the support and the cheers and just having everyone kind of enjoy themselves makes the players feel just better about themselves, their game, and undoubtedly leads to success. So you are right. I played in front of some of those crowds that were friends and family only, and it doesn't exactly get you hyped up, but we expect a full building, and would love to see everyone out. So.
Troy, whether going to the Firebirds storefront, the brick and mortar on El Paseo, just off of San Pablo and Palm Desert, or just seeing folks around the valley, the last couple of months, I've seen a lot more hats, seen a lot more shirts, seen a lot of sweaters. I think there's a vibe. I sense a tangible vibe and enthusiasm for that, not just home debut on December 18th, but for having something of our own. Never had it before. Never had a full-time sports franchise here in the desert. Are you sensing that? Are you sensing that around town?
Absolutely. And the town is, and the whole valley has really been bought in from what I've seen. If you go everywhere you go, you see a Firebirds hat or a jacket or sweater or something like that, and it's everyone's excited about their hometown team. And being the first pro sports team in town, we haven't taken it lightly in the sense that we want to really put on a show for everyone and make them proud of our team, not just on the ice, of course, and the win-loss record, but off the ice as well. And that's why we went and got some of the best quality people in the game, and people that you can really be proud to have in your community, and and being role models for your children, grandchildren, and all that, and someone you're going to want to see and get an autograph from. And really, when it comes to the development side of things, guys, you're going to want to see and being part of their career as it advances to the National Hockey League, and perhaps outgrow our affiliate team here and into the NHL. And you can say, I saw that player live. I've got his autograph, got to say hello and shake his hand. And I think that's something I grew up with as a young kid too. And I don't take those moments lightly, and definitely had a big part in shaping my life and career and whatnot. So I just hope that's part of everyone else as well, and during this whole experience.
Troy, let me ask you lastly, as I said, the Valley can be a romantic place, so perhaps this is a romantic question. You and I have talked back and forth for articles and podcasts and a variety of endeavors over the course of the last year, 9 months. Now it's almost here, man. Have you allowed yourself to dream about this day on Sunday, December 18th? What this arena is going to feel like when it's full, when you see all these Firebirds jerseys, what the sounds are going to, how they're going to reverberate around this arena for the first time, the echo of this cheers, and hopefully winning this first game. Have you allowed yourself to dream about this moment?
I've most certainly dreamed about it since the very first shovel went in the ground. It's but those dreams change every single day as the team forms and the arena forms, and they just keep getting better and better. So I'm excited for that first home game. Probably more nervous than anything, but I'm just a bit of a perfectionist and want everything to go well and want to see everyone having a good time. So I've most certainly dreamt about it and will continue to until that day comes. And then once that day comes, we'll be dreaming of bigger, better things, and hopefully a championship and having a parade down El Paseo. And I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, obviously, but that's what you strive for in this business. And I'd love to bring some success to the Valley here.
Troy Bodie, appreciate your time. He's our Director of Hockey and Business Operations for the Coachella Valley Firebirds as the home debut of the team at Acrisure Arena, just about a week and a half away, believe it or not. Again, man, we've talked amply over the course of the last 9 or 12 months. I know how hard you've worked, how much time you put in. Kudos on an excellent start to the season, and I look forward to shaking your hand on Sunday, December 18th, sir.
Absolutely. Myself as well. So thanks for having me on, Judd, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Troy. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for the December incarnation of the Fire and Ice podcast, the official podcast of your Coachella Valley Firebirds. I'm your host, Judd Spicer. Pleasure to visit with Troy Bodie, Director of Hockey Operations for your Coachella Valley Firebirds. Great chatting with Troy this month. Don't forget to visit cvfirebirds.com for all your ticketing, roster, community information. And also be sure to download that Firebirds phone app. It's going to be super helpful. As mentioned earlier in the show, mobile ticketing only at Acrisure Arena. It is also a cashless facility. Oh, and by the way, when you go on cvfirebirds.com, check out the Firebirds' applicable social media handles. Great way to follow the team on a daily basis. Hopefully you also have an opportunity to check out and enjoy the Firebirds Insider articles, a couple of those a month, penned by yours truly. Big times, exciting times in the desert, friends, as we are about to see the debut of Acrisure Arena this month on December the 14th, and of course the accompanying maiden home flight of our Coachella Valley Firebirds just a few days after on Sunday, December 18th. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you all at Acrisure Arena. Be well out there, and remember, as always, one valley, one team, rising together.